Alright, well, I guess it's best to go over the idea for this flight. So in a video I accidentally deleted the other day, I flew from Middleton Maury Airport to Lone Rock, just to the west. And I figure I've learned a couple of things since then and improved my flying a marginal amount since then. And so I figure I'm just going to re-record that so that I can get, proper feedback on that flight. In this particular flight, I'm not going to have any passengers on board. It'll just be myself, so I'll hopefully be a little more focused on the actual flying and less on the talking. Nevertheless, I will still try to explain what I'm thinking and, why I'm doing certain things. So we'll be starting off from Middleton Maury. It has... I'll be taking off probably from runway 10, and then sort of flying a simple pattern, departing the pattern to the west. My idea is that I'll be following this road here that goes pretty much all of the way to Lone Rock. This is basically University Avenue, or the extension of it, and it's very clear and very easy to see, and it's a great visual reference that'll take me most of the way there. Once I get to Mezomany here, I'll be able to see the Wisconsin River, and that'll help guide me towards the airport to the north. So I might start deviating from the from the road here, because I know that I'll have to get over to the airport. Once I'm at Lone Rock, my intention will be to fly a little bit north, enter the pattern from a 45-degree angle, and then fly downwind, base, and final landing on runway, I think it's 09er, because it's perfectly east-west and north-south there. One thing I guess I will have to keep in mind is that pattern altitude at Lone Rock is a couple hundred feet lower than pattern altitude at Middleton Maury, just because of elevation difference. CTAF frequencies are the same, and I'll be making those calls. And then I'm also going to just try to make sure to listen to weather, 118.675. That frequency didn't work in-game last time, but I will try it again. Maybe I was doing something wrong. And then likewise, I'll listen to the ASOS on my way to Lone Rock in flight. Like before, I'm going to be entirely ignoring the Lone Rock VOR, because I think it's not necessary for this particular flight. As I have set the conditions of the game, weather is mostly clear skies. Temperature is, I don't know what the temperature is, but I'll listen to the weather to find that out. But there's very minimal wind, at least by what I set. So hopefully it should be a pretty clean and easy flight over. I will be going through pre-flight inspection of the aircraft, as well as, run up and whatnot prior to takeoff. As far as alternatives go, for the flight, let's say there are, more clouds than I'm expecting, or I run into some issues on my way to Lone Rock, Prairie du Sac to the north here is a good option, but I could always just return to Middleton Maury. Or Wanakee even. So those are sort of my ideas there. As for takeoff, if there's an engine failure at like 400 feet or so, my plan is, hopefully I'm not too far down the runway at this point, and I can still probably turn and make it onto the turf strip here. But if I am too far down the runway, the plan would be to carry on, and there's a couple of buildings in real life right over here. In the game, I think it is just a field, and I could land on it, but that's not strictly realistic. There's also a highway that I'd have to cross, so I think the best bet would be to line up with the road that is like, well, so this is like an ongoing discussion that I have, right? Like, if the engine fails under 400, 500 feet, what the hell do you do when you're taking off on runway 10? I frankly do not know the answer to this. The turf is a good idea. Lining up with Century Avenue or Airport Boulevard here, which is like literally just parallel to the runway, is probably okay. There's a small field like right in front of the airport, and maybe you have enough space to do that before you hit like the car dealership or something that's right over here. So, you know, I I don't really know the correct answer to this. My best, what I would do is I would try to line up with University, or not University rather, Century, because it is really close, really close over. But I know that you're not supposed to technically turn. Anyway, so that's my thought on that. Um, right. So let's get in game. Oh, and let me also just check. This is recording, right? Yeah, I think so. Sounds good. Ready to fly? Okay. Here's my VFR map. It's cool. Minimize that. It didn't actually load up everything that I want, though. I want my checklist, please. Fuel's nice. Fuel's nice to know. Checklist. ATC's nice to have on. Weather's nice to have. Okay, so let me minimize a couple of these things. There is no tower at either of the airports that I'll be flying into here, or out of and into. So the ATC call here thing, I guess I don't strictly need, but it's nice to have up. VFR map, cool. Weather, let's see. Basically how I've set it is it's like 10:30 something a.m. I will actually probably move the clouds up a little bit. Cool. There we go. Fuel. I'm at 50% fuel on both. I've put myself down as being roughly 235 pounds. Actually, I'm gonna bump this up to 250 just because, you know, with clothing and the headset and everything else. Cool. We're still well clear of takeoff weight, so call that good. This doesn't like strictly do the math on sort of operating limits and temperature and pressure and all that, but it's well clear, so I'm gonna call that fine for now. Okay, I'm actually just gonna look through here for a second because it has the throttle levels that you're like supposed to be at, and I'm not apparently as familiar with those. So normal takeoff, full throttle, climb. Cruising power is like 2100. Okay. Okay, I think I've actually set this to like 1800 before, so I'll make note of that, 2100. And then, you know, as desired when you descend, and cool. Okay, and then yeah, the speeds. Climb, so okay, takeoff is 55, initial climb 70 to 80, and then en route climb 70 to 85, cruising, I guess 85, descent, landing, right, okay, and then landing, final approach speed 60 to 70 knots. This is a number that I really should have known last time, so yep, I was basically just my approach last time in the last video that I deleted was that I basically got over the runway and minimized my speed and made it so that like right as I was trying to touch down, I was like hitting a stall, right, which is like 55 or lower, and so this is quite a bit higher than what I was doing last time, but I do want to do it properly. Cool. Did I go all the way to the back? What? Okay. Aircraft documents. This is Aero. So, airworthiness certificate, registration, operating or pilot's operating handbook, and weight and balance. We've just done weight and balance, so I'm going to tick that off. Parking brake is set. Actually, let me check. Let me check that it's set. It's set. Ignition is off. Avionics off. Battery switch on. Fuel quantity indicators check. Alright, we are roughly 50%, which is exactly how much fuel I put in. Good. Low fuel, annunciator panel. We are not getting that warning. We're good. Avionics switch on. Cool. So this time I actually did get the SPAD drivers on first, and before I loaded up the game, and so my panel is now lit up and working. So that's excellent. I can actually see the numbers here. Avionics switch is on, as we've discussed. I still don't know what that beeping noise is right after you turn on avionics, so riddle me that. Tick. Avionics fan, we've already discussed this. I cannot hear it. I think it's a bug. Alright, if that's all we're checking, avionics switch off. Static pressure alt source. This one here, we're good. That's off. Annunciator panel, test. So I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be looking for here because this will only go between test and dim, not to bright. What I would be testing for, I guess, is that the low fuel light comes on, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't. Hold on. Oh, it does. Okay, cool. That almost certainly didn't happen last time. But it does. Okay, so it works. Annunciator pattern works. Fuel selector both. Fuel shutoff valve open. Flaps down. I'm trying to look. Just trying to see if the flaps are moving. They are. And I didn't see that one moving, but it is down now, so that works. Pitot heat on. So I guess I'll like walk out and just feel if it's getting a little warmer now. And if it is, that's cool, but I don't want to put my hand on it for too long because it gets damn hot. Pitot heat off. Battery switch off. Elevator trim set to neutral. Starting engine. Pre-flight inspection. So this time I'm not going to go through like what I'm thinking about things because I've done that in a previous video, but I will go through the checklist. Well, I might go into what I'm thinking a little bit. Okay, door, does it latch? What is this? The baggage door, does it latch? Main wheel and tire brake, looking for brake thickness and lack of corrosion, making sure the tire is undamaged. Basically, I'm looking for all these that they're undamaged. I'm going to do a quick fuel drain from the left. I'm looking for to make sure that there's no impurities or water in the fuel. I'm going to visually check the quantity, and when I'm done, make sure the cap is secure. I'm going to remove the pitot tube cover and make sure that this is free of obstructions. Actually, I should have checked that before turning on and off the pitot tube. This is something that I've already recognized in my checklist as a little bit iffy. So, right, I should do that first. Next, I will I'll check the stall warning opening or move the flap and make sure that the buzzer sounds. I will check the fuel tank vent. I'm still not sure where this is. I know on some aircraft it's right next to the pitot tube. However, it's possibly this black thing up top where the fuel lines mix for the two, but I'm not sure. So, you know, if you find out, please let me know. But I don't know if it's in the sim. I'm going to check that the wing tie down has been removed. This should already have happened before I approached the plane, but I'm just checking that it's gone. I'm checking for damage on the leading edge and on the wingtip. I am checking the ailerons and the flaps, and I need to check my lights, so I'm quickly going to go back inside the cockpit and turn on all of my lights. Okay. And I have both the strobe light and the navigation light working there, and on the front I've got my landing light and taxi light on as well. I don't have to check for landing lights down on the wheel because there's no lights down there. Alright, so aileron and flaps, just checking those for freedom of movement and security. I'm going to check the fuselage here, just looking for dents or any significant damage. And then once I get to the empennage here, or the empennage, or the empennage, I still don't know how to pronounce this correctly, just looking for damage on these surfaces. I'm going to check the horizontal stabilizer and the rudder to make sure that they are free and secure. I'm going to make sure that I have removed the back tie down. And then I'm going to move to the other side here. I'm checking that I have the beacon and the navigation light on. I'm checking the elevator here as well for freedom of movement and security. Again, making sure that like any cables that run in these areas are not frayed or otherwise damaged. I'll be checking the surface here of the horizontal stabilizer and the empennage on this side. Empennage? Shit, dude, I don't know. Once I get around to the right wing, I'll be testing the flap and the aileron again. I'll be looking at the lights on the wingtip here. I've got the navigation light and the strobe light. I'll be checking the wingtips and the front edge for damage or dirt or corrosion or anything like that. Once again, making sure that I've got the tie down not in place. I will be looking at the main wheel here and the brake pad, making sure that the brake pad is the right thickness, doesn't have corrosion, and that the wheel isn't frayed or isn't too thin. It like has the right treading on it. I'm then going to do a quick fuel drain on this side as well. Again, looking for impurities such as water or metal scraps or oil or anything like that that could be in the fuel. I'm going to do a visual check of the fuel level, making sure it's about half full in this tank before making sure that the cap is secure when I am done. Then I'm going to move around to the front. I'm going to check the front tire for damage. I'm going to look at the wheel strut and make sure that it is properly extended. I'm going to check, the engine oil by popping up the cap here, unscrewing, and making sure that I have at least 5 quarts of oil. I'm going to go down underneath and check the strainer. I'm going to check the prop here for damage to it as well, especially the leading edges. I'm going to check the filter down below to make sure that it is clear of obstructions, dust, dirt, grime, that kind of thing. I'm also going to check inside of the engine air intake here to make sure that there aren't any rodents or bird's nest or crap in there as well. And then I'm going to go around to the other side of the plane, and I'm going to look at the static port and make sure that that's free and clear as well. And then with that, I am going to get back inside the cockpit here. I am going to turn off these lights for the time being so that I'm not draining unnecessary battery power. And I'm going to pull up my checklist again. So I've done my pre-flight inspection, that's complete. My seatbelt harness is on, my electrical equipment is off, my avionics are off, my fuel selector is on both. My fuel shutoff valve is open. I'm going to put the throttle about 1/4 of an inch in. I'm going to put the mixture to idle. I'm going to skip this step for the time being because I want to make sure that I yell clear once I'm actually ready to ignite the engine. One thing to note is that I'm very aware that I'm not clear. There's a guy standing here. There's a guy standing here. I don't think there's anyone else, but I have literally no way of getting them out of the way in the sim. So what I would probably do is exit the plane, make sure that these guys know what I'm intending to do, and make sure that they get out of the way. Once I am done with that, let's go back to the checklist here. Battery switch should be on. Beacon light should be on. Mixture should be rich. Fuel pump, 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000. Cool. Mixture should be lean. Feet are ready to brake. Now I'm going to get back to yelling clear, so I'm going to basically open my door or open my window or something so that everybody in the area can hear me, and I'm going to make sure that these guys go away. Clear! And then I'm going to start my ignition. was not good. I think it was because my mixture is too low. I think this being lean thing doesn't describe full idle cutoff, and I think I just starved my own engine. So this is actually something that I should be careful of, and evidently a mistake that I didn't learn from. So what do you do when the engine fails? So I think you really don't want to flood your engine with gas, but I think I'm fine to put this back on full, put on the fuel pump again, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4, shut it off, and I'm going to put this at like 50%, and now I'm going to yell clear, and then start it up again. Okay, and then I'll put it to rich. This is again not nearly as loud as I was expecting, and I think it might be my headphones that are once again the problem here. Yep, look at that, it was way down low. Okay, that's better, thank you. Right, these guys are still on the way, but that's fine. Throttle adjust to 1,000, it is. Oil pressure, right. Oil pressure is a little bit on the low side, but that's fine because we're not at full RPM. Alternator on. Alternator indicator. No issues. But let me just check that I'm looking at the right thing. Yep, okay. Ammeter. We're charging the battery, which makes sense. Avionics switch. On. Radios. Radios are on, but I need to make sure that they are properly set. So, okay, hold on. I know that common is 123.0. Okay. So that's the common frequency. And then I think it was 119.425 is weather, but let me check the VFR map briefly. Nope, that is the Lone Rock weather. So AWATS here is 118.675. I've got too many tabs open down here. Okay. Cool. All right. I'm gonna just briefly listen to the weather here while I'm at it. This did not work before, and it evidently is still not working. So maybe the Middleton Maury one doesn't work in the game for some reason. I honestly don't know what's going on here. Please let me know if you understand the issue. Okay, radios are on. Transponder should be to standby. Flaps should be up. Heading indicator should be set. Okay, so the heading indicator currently shows south, and I am currently facing south. Also, let me look at the compass. It agrees. South. Cool. Altimeter. We should be at 292, and altitude is roughly 923 feet as given by the VFR map, so I'm going to say that this is correctly set. And then attitude indicator, that looks pretty good. Okay, tick. Taxi. Right. The problem with the checklist being up is that it blocks so many different things. That's kind of the problem. And another thing is that you can't actually scroll, right? So it's really irritating. Anyway, taxi light should probably be on. Nav lights should be on. Oh, I should do this in order, sorry. Taxi light on, landing right, not required. Strobe on. Nav lights are already on. Parking brake released. Brakes, let's test those. I'm gonna just ignore these dudes here. I know I shouldn't, but again, have no way of doing that right now. One thing that I've noticed is that the aircraft does not move at idle or at 1,000 RPM even. I have to get it up to around 1,200 RPM in order for it to start moving. In the sim, that is, at least. Alright. Let me just check the brakes. Yep, our brakes work. Rudder, test. And while I do this, I'm going to go on external mode here to show you. These dudes are just so in the way. Rudder test. Cool. Rudder works. And then I've already checked the compass. And well, I guess I haven't. I should, I'll check this as I'm taxiing. But while I'm at it, I may as well check that the ailerons work here. Cool. And the elevators. Cool. Alright, back inside the cockpit. Right. Neato. So at this point, I'm going to increase throttle again, and when I do some turns, I'm going to be checking that my heading indicator is showing that I'm correctly turning. I'm going to check my my turn coordinator and compass as well. And actually, you can already see I've turned a little bit. My compass has moved. My heading indicator has moved. So I'll take those off now. And just the turn coordinator as I'm moving. So once again, throttle back up a little bit here to at least 12,000. That's probably a little too high just to get myself moving. And then I don't know how to actually transmit on the frequency, so I'm just going to say out loud what my transmissions would be without actually transmitting them. Maury traffic, 3477 Echo, on the ramp, taxi to runway 10, Maury. I'm also going to try to make sure that my taxi speed is like not super fast like it was before, but that is somewhat hard to control, to be honest. As far as I'm aware, Maury does not have a pre-assigned like area to do a run-up at, so I'm going to do that while holding short of runway 10. I hope this isn't too fast. I am really trying to be like a reasonable speed here. Oh, and yeah, my turn coordinator's working. Maury traffic, 3477 Echo, holding short of runway 10, Maury. Now I'm going to do the run-up. Parking brake is set. I don't have to check this because it's a Cessna 172. Seatbelts are secure. Flight controls. I've already checked that they're free and contract on the outside, but I'm just going to check that these are expected movements. Cool. Flight instruments set. Yes. Flight quantity indicators. Good. Mixture, rich. Fuel selector, both. Autopilot, I'm going to say it doesn't have an autopilot and I don't want to use it, so skip that part. Throttle, Set at 1800 RPM. Okay, I can do that. It's actually super hard to control this precisely. That's 1700. That's about 1800. Maybe a little higher than 1800. Alright, let's try the magnetos now. So I'm looking for a drop of about 150 decrease here, so 150 off of 1800 should get me down to 1650 roughly, so like 1.5 ticks past the 15 mark. It's not that far, but that's fine because I'm looking for a max decrease of that much. So in this case, I'm about 1750 there. So I'm going to switch it back to both. It went back up to 1800, so now I'm going to check the other magneto. And once again, we're running at about 1750 there, so we're within a max RPM difference of 50, so that's fine. I'm going to switch these both back up to both. Vacuum gauge is in the green. Oil pressure, check. Oil temperature, check. Ammeter, 0. Annunciator, clear. Engine idle. Let's check that this is within 600 to 650 roughly. It's about 650. Throttle, adjust to 1000. Check. Alright, let me just make sure one more time. Radios are set. Avionics are set. I'm going to ignore nav and GPS. Transponder should be on alt. Check. I am making sure the autopilot is off. The trim is set for takeoff. Flaps are at 0. Cabin windows are closed and locked. And the parking brake is released. Right. So I'll go flaps 0, full rich, full throttle. I'm going to, as I do this, I'm going to basically make sure that my airspeed indicator is working. I will check that my oil pressure and temperature are working, and I'm going to look for my takeoff speed of 55 knots. Right. Minimize those. I'm going to X out off the fuel just so that I have less in the way here. ATC as well, weather as well. And frankly, I don't think I'm going to have a need to look outside of the aircraft until I'm out, so I'm going to X out of the camera as well. Alright. And let's make sure that I have a yoke. And I am ready to go. Alright. I'm going to quickly check that the runway is clear by looking for planes, either landing or in the pattern or even taking off. Looks like I'm fine. Now I am going to increase throttle here to start moving forward. That's a little too much. Maury traffic 3477 Echo, departing runway 10 left, downwind departure. Maury. Gonna try to line up with the center line here before I start doing my takeoff. Okay, it's a little off, but that's fine. I'm gonna move my mouse to the side so that it's not in the way. Oh, and I've already made my call that I'm taking off, so I'm going to go to full throttle. Mixture's rich. Airspeed is alive. Oil pressure and temperature are good. $55 knots. Rotate. Trying to keep the nose straight and level, but this is somewhat difficult with my controls. roughly 2 inches above here. I'm gonna climb to pattern altitude. Or, well, I'm not gonna make it all the way there because that's the highway. Once I'm a little past the highway, I need to start making my crosswind turn because I don't want to enter Madison airspace. Maury traffic, 77 Echo, turning left, crosswind, Maury. I'm trying to do it at standard rate. I know I went a little bit steeper than that, but that is my bad. I am looking to make sure that my heading indicator lines up with 10. Hold on, I think I may have gone past that. Roughly here, because that'll be roughly 90 degrees to the airport. I am still climbing. Maury traffic, turning left downwind. Oh, Maury traffic 77 Echo, turning left downwind, Maury. Oh, I'm waiting for my heading indicator to go to 280 because that is where I am supposed to be parallel with the runway, and I think I went a little too far there. Okay, my altitude is still climbing, so I'm going to reduce power to roughly 2100. And I am now a substantial margin above the pattern altitude, and that is my bad. Was not intending for that to happen. Okay. My airspeed is looking fine. My attitude is looking fine. My altitude is, as I said, high. Oil temperature and pressure still look good. RPMs are still a little high. Again, aiming for 2100 there. Okay, I'm still not going quite on my correct heading of 280 here. Maury traffic, 77 Echo on left downwind, departing the pattern to the west, Maury. Right? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to climb to 2,500 feet. I'm picking that number because it is, so I'm traveling westward, so I believe, oh, you know what? Shit. Well, it's under 3,000 feet, so I think the, like, altitude that you're supposed to fly at thing doesn't really apply under 2,000 feet, but I'm going to try to climb to 2,500 anyway. So what I'm going to do in order to do that is slightly increase throttle while keeping my attitude the same. I was just checking my my heading indicator there because I know that when I start looking at the altitude, I tend to accidentally start turning. Anyway, so I'm doing that, and I'm going to try to maintain within 100 feet of 2,500, but frankly, I don't know if I'm that good. So if I'm like within like 300 feet, I think that's still a win. At this point, I'm going to start turning to the left here because, as I discussed in my pre-flight briefing, my intention is to follow University Avenue to Cross Plains, to Spring Green, and then finally to Lone Rock. And in order for me to do that, I have to turn to the left. Now at this point, I would be looking out of my window in order to see what's going on, but that is super hard for me to do. So I'm looking, I'm still trying to maintain level. Here's the airport. University is down here and right there. Okay, so let me go back to my standard view. Again, I would not have turned there unnecessarily because my hands would have been on the controls when I look out the window, but there's really nothing I can do about that with my current setup. Or honestly, even with the yoke, I think I'm still going to have problems with that based on how the camera setup works in Flight Simulator. Also, while I was looking out the window, I just realized that my altitude has climbed to 2,600, not the 2,500 that I had planned. I want to check that my my RPMs are fine. My airspeed is fine. My attitude is fine, but I am still climbing. So I think what I have to do about this is reduce power below the 2100. I don't know any other way to do this. I guess I could point my nose down for a little bit, but that won't solve the original problem that I was climbing there. I'm going to look out the window again because I really don't want to lose track of that road. Okay, so it's right here, and I'm glad I looked because it turns right there. So I'm now going to turn this way to standard rate. Cool. I'm trying to follow the road here because, as I said, it is the best visual reference that I have while making it out to Lone Rock, which is currently pretty much straight ahead. And now I'm a little bit north of that, but that's fine because I'm following the road. I am going to keep turning a little bit because I want to be able to see the road on my lower left. I'm still paying attention to my airspeed, which is fine. My altitude is still a little high. Alright, so there's the road off to my left. I'm going to turn a little bit to correct for my course to follow it. Right. Okay, so I'm on my way. So what I was going to say was the reason why I had selected 2500 was, despite the fact that it was below, I thought the rule was that it was like even increments on like plus 500 feet when you're going roughly west, but I may have gotten that wrong. Maybe it's odd increments. I should have done more to check that. But besides the fact, I am below 3,000, so it doesn't really apply. Anyway, I'm getting close to 2,500 again. Which is pretty good. I see the Wisconsin River ahead of me, so that just confirms that I know exactly where I am. By the time I had straightened out and whatnot relative to the road, I had already passed Crossed Plains, so that's behind us. Ahead of us is Black Earth, I think. I'm not 100% sure on the words, on the names of the towns, but if I check my VFR map, let me do that just now. Shit, I had to move a bowl in order for me to see it. Okay, I'm checking my map while I'm flying, which is a little bit tough. I'm trying to stay at 2,500, airspeed is good, attitude is good, I still see the road. Okay, so that town, it's so hard to do this. Okay. Yes, it was Black Earth. I'm like relatively sure. And up ahead is Mizomini. Okay. Altitude is a little low, but that's fine. Airspeed is fine. Heading is fine. Alright, so at this point I see that the road heads pretty much due west over there. And that is basically what I'm aiming for. So I'm going to go a little bit closer to the Wisconsin River, and then I'm going to turn to follow that. It's really easy to see what I'm doing here, so that's good. Again, altitude is a little low, but pretty close to 2,500, so I feel better about that than I did in previous flights. I would set trim, but in this case, I guess what I'm doing right now is probably not what I'm supposed to be doing, which is I'm basically correcting for like little differences that we have in turbulence, and I think that's probably overcorrecting. If anything though, I would switch the nose to point a little up with the trim because I feel like I'm correcting more often upwards. Okay, altitude is climbing, which is not what I wanted. Okay, so what do I do about that? Again, like, these are the things that I need to, like, learn how to remedy. Like, what do I do about this? The only thing that I can think to do is reduce power a little bit. Because climbing will have the, like, if I point the nose up, it'll climb, right? If I point the nose down, my airspeed will increase, and actually, that's probably what I should do. I should point the nose down. That's probably the solution. Alright, so I'm now basically going between the Wisconsin River and this road. My altitude is still higher than I was hoping that it would be. But I am pointing the nose a little further down. And I'm going to turn to follow that. Okay, so I'm now basically going between the Wisconsin River and this road. My altitude is still higher than I was hoping that it would be. But I am pointing the nose a little further down. And I'm going to turn to follow that. and I'm maintaining constant engine RPMs now. Okay, the moon looks cool. Oh, I forgot to make this radio call. I don't know how far away from... I'm probably like 10 miles away now, so I think this is actually probably at the right time to do it. Lone Rock traffic, 3477 Echo, 10 east of the airport at 2500 Lone Rock. I made that mistake last time too, because I departed to the west from Maury. I'm arriving from the east at Lone Rock, not arriving from the west. Okay, so I've got the road off to my left, the Wisconsin River off to my right. Where the river curves, I will proceed to, which is just ahead actually, I will proceed to turn roughly to the north, as I discussed in my pre-flight briefing, in order to join with traffic at a 45. Okay, airspeed is good, attitude is good. I'm still at 2,600 feet, which is not what I wanted, so I actually lied to Lone Rock by saying I was at 2,500 because I'm at 2,600, but a difference of 100 feet won't really affect how someone tries to look for me in the sky. I'll still be in the right vicinity, so I guess close enough. I'm just glancing again. Altitude rather is coming down, which is good. I've been trying to do that. Airspeed is good, attitude is good, the countryside looks beautiful, that's good. Again, checking heading, traveling west, good. I guess I have a second here to relax, because everything is going relatively well with some minor turbulence, and I see the airport beacon out ahead, so that looks good. Cloud conditions are great. Oh, you know what? What I can be doing in this time is setting the frequency here so that I can listen to the weather. So it was 119.45. Also, while I'm doing this, I'm trying to maintain control of the plane. I am checking my airspeed. I am checking the fact that my altitude is increasing. I am trying to keep the plane stable. I'm doing my best. Anyway, 119.45. Cool. That's pretty much what I expected. Okay, I don't know what it's doing. I want it to stop. I'm on 1230 now, which is the CTAF frequency. I'm going to once again make a call. Shit. I have to figure out what I need to say. While I'm trying to figure this out, I am still looking at my airspeed, my attitude, and my altitude, which is at actually pretty much roughly 2,500. That's good. All right. Lone Rock traffic, 77 Echo, 5 west of the airport at 2,500. Lone Rock. Okay. This time I wasn't lying about my altitude. I am dead on 2,500. All right. Airspeed's good. Cool. I don't need to say that every time, but I am looking. Oh, you know what? In this time I could also be reviewing my in-flight checklists and my pre-landing checklists. Again, I am looking at my instrumentation. It is super hard to control the plane with my checklists down. And that is both a result of task saturation, but also a result of how fucking hard it is to do this in game. So, cruise, I am pretty much at those levels. Alright, so descent. I am going to need to, in a little bit, not right now, but I'm going to need to start making the turn to the north here, or northwest rather, in order to get in position for the 45-degree angle thing. And I also, my altitude has descended to 2,400, which is not what I wanted to have happen. I mean, I could try to rationalize it and say that I will need to be down lower to enter the pattern at roughly 1,700 feet, but I think I should wait on that. So anyway, right. So I am paying attention to that. It was not intended, though, and I fell further than I had thought, so I'm going to try to raise the nose a little bit in order... Fuck! That was sticky keys. Okay. Power will be as desired. Mixture, I'll adjust it. Right. I actually won't, because I think it's fine as it is. I'm going to keep it on rich because I want to be able to do a go-around. Altimeters, I'll check. Fuel selector. Right, cool. Hold on. I need to actually fly the plane. That was misclicks, is what I'm going to chalk that up to. I'm looking at my altitude. It is going down, but I don't want that. I want it to stay at 2,500 for the time being. Airspeed is good. Attitude is good. Altitude is coming back. Fuel looks good. We haven't burned that much. We're just below half, and that makes sense. And I'm going to start making my turn to the north now because we're passing the Wisconsin River. So at this point, I'm basically just keeping out the beacon, which I see on not quite the horizon, but on my left. And I'm going to minimize that checklist so that it's not in the way. So the airport is like right down here. Right, altitude 2,500. That's looking good. Airspeed cool. Good. So I know where I am, and I'm flying safely. And I'm getting... Oh, that was a misclick, sorry. I'm getting closer to where I need to go. I still need to proceed more to the north, though, so I'm going to keep turning north here. Because I don't want to... because I want to enter the pattern at a 45. Oh, and this would actually be a good time to start descending. So I'm going to start reducing power a little bit and pointing my nose down to descend to 1,700 ASL, which will be about 1,000 above the ground, which is going to be pattern altitude. There are a couple hills here, so I do need to be careful, but I checked my VFR map, and I should still be roughly like 500 feet above those, which is fine. It's a little closer than I would like, but it is fine. That's the plan anyway. Please tell me if that is unsafe, risky, dangerous, terrible idea, stupid, and I'm an idiot and a moron who should go to hell. I would actually like to know that before I make this mistake in real life. But I do think it is fine. There's the runway down there, so actually still need to go a little bit more north. So I'm going to turn to the north here. I am expecting my altitude to decrease because, as I discussed, I am hoping that it will get to 1,700, which it's still not. Right, okay. Airspeed is good. Attitude is good. Altitude is coming down. Cool. I should be looking for the airport now. Again, super hard to control because I have to use my mouse to do this. I know that the airport is over here. It's out of sight currently, so I'm going to wait until it is in sight, and then I'm going to turn, basically due west and line myself up, and then I'm going to position myself at a 45-degree angle, make the call to enter. Still don't see it. I think it's further over here. Oh, while I was doing that, my altitude actually just came back up a little bit. That was not the intent, let me tell you that. Where is it? Have I already passed it? Could it be down here? Oh, it's here. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, so now that I see it, I am going to turn to the west, as I have discussed. I am clearing those hills with, I think, more than 500 feet, actually. That's fine. My heading indicator should read due west in order to be aligned with the runway, right, which is over there. Actually, I'm probably a little bit in the pattern already. I think it's a little bit over to my left, though, so I'll turn to 45 here. I actually think I should enter it midfield, though, rather than here. So I'm going to turn back. That's my mistake. Altitude is still coming down, but not, you know, fast enough. Okay. Looking at the airport, looking at the beacon, making sure I know where I'm going. Heading is west, which is good. Airspeed is good. Cool. Now I'm going to start doing this turn. Lone Rock traffic, 3477 Echo at 2,200 descending for a 45 for left downwind for runway 90 Lone Rock. I think I said the word "for" a few too many times, to be honest. I'm going to decrease power because in descent the checklist says, as you know, desired, you can reduce power. And now I'm going to make my turn to enter the pattern here. My altitude should go to 1,700. And then I will, once I'm in the pattern, I will need to line up again west. On my heading indicator. And on my compass. Oh, I am beneath 1,700 feet. Okay, I should have been paying more attention to that. There we go. I am at pattern altitude. Lone Rock traffic, 77 Echo, midfield left downwind for runway 90 Lone Rock. And my headings changed a little bit when I made the call, and my altitude dropped a little bit when I made the call as well. Okay, now I'm going to be looking to see where the airport is relative to me, and it's sort of closer than I was hoping for, and I don't want to make that turn just yet because I want to give myself time to line up for it. At this point, my altitude should still not be dropping. That's a mistake. Airspeed is still fine, attitude is still fine. I'm going to continue a little bit here. I'm going to go maybe a little further than I should, but okay. Oh, altitude's dropping, but at this point that's fine because I do want to come into landing. Lone Rock traffic, 77 Echo, turning left base for runway 90 Lone Rock. And then I'm going to look out the window again to make sure... Oh, I fucking already overshot it. Okay. Lone Rock traffic, 77 Echo, turning final for runway 90, full stop Lone Rock. So at this point, I'm doing a little bit steeper of a turn than I probably should. I'm turning back around. I did give myself a little bit more room than I needed to. Well, actually... Almost... Oh, that's too steep. That's too steep. Okay, and then flaps are out, and engine is reduced power. Okay, I can still do this. I'm confident I can still do this. I am a bit high. What is that car doing? As it like... Oh, okay, it's gonna be fine. Okay, full power. Super hard to do this. Pull up flaps. Make sure that my heading is fine. Look up. Airspeed is increasing. Altitude is increasing. Attitude's fine. Lone Rock traffic 77 Echo, go around. Runway 90, Lone Rock. Still need to climb. Heading should be east. So it's actually giving it too much right rudder there. Or right aileron, rather. Airspeed is good. Attitude is fine. Altitude should stop at around 1700, so I'm going to lower the nose. I am going to reduce power slightly. Lone Rock traffic 77 Echo, turning left crosswind. 77 Echo. Lone Rock. Standard rate. I'm trying to maintain altitude, but it's going up, so I think I didn't reduce power enough. And I think I may need to make my nose go down. I'd rather go up than go down during the turn, but yeah, I'm now above pattern altitude, which is like not great. Also, I'm now north, so I should balance this out. I'm gonna just look at what my engine is set to here. Yeah, this should be a little further down. Okay, I should still be pointed north. Oh, fuck. Okay. Lone Rock traffic, turning left downwind for runway 90, Lone Rock. It's still past the standard rate right there. I'm lining this up at west to go parallel with the airport. There we go. My altitude is still climbing, so that was not good. Alright, let's try to go back down to 1700 here. And this time let's like not overshoot the runway when I do my turn. So I'm actually probably going to go full around for final. It happened so quickly. Airspeed is a little high, but is fine. Attitude is fine. And altitude is not fine. Heading is a little bit south of west, but that's fine. Come on, altitude. Lone Rock traffic, 77 Echo, turning left base for runway 90, Lone Rock. I'm going to reduce power. I am going to put out flaps. Lone Rock traffic, turning left final for runway 90, full stop. Oh, there's the airport. I'm again high. Admittedly pretty high. Airspeed is high. Whoa, fuck. No, 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 no! 7-7 Echo? Lone Rock, 7-7 Echo, go around. Lone Rock. Holy shit. That was terrifying. Flaps up. Attitude. Let's see over the fucking dashboard and not kill ourselves here. Oh god, that was not good. That was like seriously fucked. Okay, but I think we're gonna live. We're fine now. Okay. So what have I learned? First off, look at altitude more. I was too high coming into that. And secondly, I think I should have given myself more space. And I would have been able to fix that if I'd looked at the runway and seen how much space I was giving myself for that turn. Okay, so I should line up east to make sure that my heading is roughly there. I'm climbing up to 1700. Airspeed is fine. Attitude is fine. I almost killed myself there, and I'm still freaking out about it. Okay. Lone Rock traffic. 7-7 Echo, turning left, crosswind. Lone Rock. Alright, I'm roughly at pattern altitude. I'm doing a constant rate turn, or a standard rate turn. I am almost at north, which is when I will straighten out. I'm going to reduce power. I'm pointing the nose a little bit down here, because I've reached pattern here. I'm looking at the altitude. I know that it is still going up. I'm trying to get it to go down to 0, but I'm also looking at my airspeed, which is high. So I am going to reduce power some more. Altitude is climbing again. Fucking hell, dude. Lone Rock traffic, 7-7 Echo, turning left, downwind. This is Lone Rock. I always say the traffic designator at the end as an afterthought. Like, it's not something that comes instinctually for me, and I need to work on that. I've already had 2 go-around attempts, but I do have plenty of fuel, and I would rather burn all the fuel than die. So I'm not going to keep that stressing me out. I'm going to try to fix the mistakes that I made before and go a little further out, give myself more time to descend if necessary, to make sure that my altitude, which is currently, I know, climbing, a chance to come back down. I do note that I am a little further north than I was on previous things in the pattern, so, you know, yeah. I actually think this will help me, though, because it will give me more time to look at the airport. A little bit of turbulence there. Altitude is still increasing. I'm going to look down, which is fucking risky, I know, and check the power. No, not that low. Like, I don't know. That's probably fine. Heading should be roughly west. It is. Airspeed is still a little high, but that's fine. Attitude is fine. Altitude is still climbing. Motherfucker. I'm gonna go past these hills before making my base turn. And I'm also gonna look at the airport before I make my base turn. It's back here. Okay. The hills should give me enough space. I'm going to go basically after this. I know there's actually like formal technical definitions of like where a pattern is supposed to be relative to the airport, like how many miles out or something, and I actually don't know those numbers. So that's another thing I'm going to have to improve on. Heading is a little off of west. I'm probably giving myself too much space here. But after 2 go-around attempts, I want to give myself more time to make it right. Lone Rock traffic, 77 Echo, extended downwind for runway 90, Lone Rock. Altitude is high. Everything is fine. Everything else is fine. Alright, I'm over the hills. Lone Rock traffic, 77 Echo, turning left, base, for runway 90, Lone Rock. I'm waiting for my heading indicator and compass to line up with south, and I'm noting that the compass is going to have a little bit of momentum behind it, so there we go, roughly. I am now going to start descending a little bit, so I'm going to reduce power again and put the nose down. Lone Rock traffic, 77 Echo, turning base for runway 90, full stop, Lone Rock. There's the runway. I have gone past it again, overshot, but I do now have the space to correct it. I'm going to go full flaps. And I'm once again going to reduce power. Although I may have to increase it because I may be too far out. I am going to try to line up with the runway here. Alright, I'm now at pattern altitude. Airspeed is a little slow, so I'm going to add a little bit of power, because I should be at around 60 when I land, not 60 right now. You can hear the prop accelerating there a little bit, but my airspeed is still right around 60, which is, you know, concerning, so I'm going to add a little bit more power. Okay, altitude is coming down, about 500 feet. Airspeed is low. But I think it's still above stall speed. This is a much better landing. I already feel it. Come on. I'm still willing to go around, but I feel a lot better about this already. Coming up a bit short. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Bounce. You know, not the best landing, but far from the near-death experience of the previous one. So, you know, we're on the ground, you know? I'm not gonna complain too much. We're you know, we're safe. That said, yeah, definitely some stuff I can work on and improve on there. On the deleted video, right, that I did at the Lone Rock one, I think I managed the landing first try, but it was also a little bit rough and should have been a go-around. Also, this doesn't go anywhere. I thought this would be like a taxiway, but I guess there isn't like a yellow line next to it. I totally thought that Microsoft Flight Simulator had misplaced the thing again. Alright, Lone Rock, 77 Echo, back taxi on runway 90, Lone Rock. I may have already passed the taxi. I hope I'm not just like aimlessly like wandering. Let me pull up my VFR map, actually. This will be helpful. Let's zoom in on the airport here. Yeah. Yeah, I need to go forward. Okay. And I want to do so a little bit more quickly than like 5 miles an hour, just because I don't want to be keeping the space from anyone else. And yet I'm still going like 5 miles an hour. Okay. I think in a number of ways this was a better flight than the previous one. I was, from the start, okay, more prepared. I had alternative airports in mind in case this was, you know, flooded or closed for whatever reason. I was more aware of my heading and what it should be as I make pattern around Maury as well as around Lone Rock here. I was scanning my instrumentation for altitude and attitude and airspeed. Even like, is this gonna go anywhere? Okay, yeah. And I was doing that just a lot more frequently, right? I made sure to check my airspeed, my oil temperature and pressure, and my takeoff speed when I was on my takeoff roll, which I think is, you know, a good way to stay safe. You know, if your oil pressure is too low on departure or something, that's a good reason to abort. I was more willing to do go-arounds. You know, I wasn't using that, like, committal type, like, I have to land now kind of a thing. I think I did all right on that, on the landing in hindsight. I could have gone around on that one as well, though. And then, as far as, like, visual cues and whatnot, I never lost sight of the airport. I always knew where it was. I was always above on fuel, so I didn't have any low fuel warnings. I think it was all right. I think my air traffic control calls, my CTAF calls rather, were better than before. I still don't think I was being detailed enough in them, but I also don't know what else I would have said. Anyway, so let's go ahead and park. I was also, you know, I listened to weather in flight. Parking brake is set. Let me quickly, before I do this discussion, let's secure the aircraft here. Flaps up. Oh, you know what? Another thing I forgot to do, admittedly, was I never turned on my landing light, and I never took off my taxi light when I took off. See, you do need the checklists, and I thought I had remembered everything, but I didn't because I hadn't gone through that checklist. Right. So I think I was better this time about reviewing checklists in flight and making sure that I was doing things correctly, but I still clearly have something to improve upon because I wouldn't have ever gotten it if I had actually done the checklist for that stage. Right. Flaps up, landing light is off, taxi light is off. Oh, I guess this is the, like, after landing thing, and this is parking. Okay, but, okay, strobe is off, elevator trim, set to neutral, transponder to standby. And then for parking brake is set, transponder to off, avionics off, engine to idle, And then I can either cut it off with the magnetos or with the mixture, but I've learned to pull mixture to idle. And then to turn this off, as well as these. Oh, and I was almost just supposed to put the landing? Okay. I don't know why you'd put your fuel selector to left or right. It's always on both. It only makes sense to leave it on both. So, cool. And then I'll pull up the camera again. And I'll make sure that it is tied down properly and that the chock blocks are, between the wheels and whatnot. Okay, so back to what I was saying. Now that we can talk about it. Yeah, so I still need to improve on checklists in flight. I can still improve on keeping my altitude where I want it to be. I will say in my defense that when you're doing a go-around, the first thing is to, keep yourself alive. And I was having trouble enough doing that myself to worry about the altitude. But once I was on the downwind segment, I should have had better altitude control for sure. During the majority of the flight, I think my altitude was pretty much at 2,500 with a few brief periods where it went a little over or under. So it wasn't as good for, a check ride, but I think it was within reason. Definitely still stuff to improve on there, I'm not denying that. But it was better than it was in my San Luis Obispo to Paso Robles flight. I tried to make sure that I wasn't descending while I was turning, but I will say that when I was on base and on final, I was certainly doing that. So, but I think that is kind of normal. So I guess discussion point, is it fine to be descending when you're making your base turn and when you're making your base to final turn? I think so. I think I probably wasn't flying the pattern properly at Lone Rock because I was constantly overshooting, and except for the last one, I was always way too close and way too high. Now, of course, I should have been at pattern altitude when I was coming in, right? But the thing is that I was high, right? So that was a problem. But I think that even if I had been at 1,700, I wasn't giving myself enough room to line up and go down in altitude. So I think just flying a little further out is a good idea. But I should get more knowledge about what the actual traffic pattern distances are supposed to look like. As for radio calls, I think I've already covered that. I think I was better. And I mean, when I was doing the go-arounds and whatnot, I was always flying first, trying to, I had this really rocky one where I pitched up violently and then stalled and then pitched down violently and then my wing dropped, and I fixed that scenario before telling Common that I was doing a go-around, which is the right thing to do. Although my go-arounds can clearly be improved because what I was doing was adding power first, right? Keeping the nose just slightly up, but basically waiting for my airspeed to go up first before climbing. And then I needed to pull up my flaps, and I have a hotkey for pulling flaps to full, but I don't have a hotkey for pulling them up or doing percentages at a time. So that's something to look at. Okay, and then back on the ground, I still don't know why the weather at Maury Field didn't work, and I still don't know how to actually transmit over the radio. I was just basically saying things. Anyway, between this flight and the deleted video, I don't know which one's better. I think this flight was better, but that no, you know what? I take that back. I think this flight was substantially better. I was more aware of the instruments. I was more conscious of my altitude. I was willing to go around. Now, I may have needed to go around on that last one as well, but and I definitely have a lot to improve on the actual go-arounds, right? So I feel like the first and the second go-arounds where I was having difficulty climbing again and whatnot, um, feel like it's detracting points from this particular flight. But as far as like the comparison, I think it's still pretty clear that this was a better flight than the deleted video. But I guess you're the ones who will ultimately decide. Well, Neiman will ultimately decide. I think he's like the only one who saw the deleted one. But thank you so much for watching, and I do feel like I learned a little, but I would still like to go over some feedback on this flight as well, just making sure that I improved on what I thought I improved on, and that you agree with what I think I need to practice. If there's any other comments, something that I missed, making sure that I'm not forming any bad habits, that's all appreciated. Doing this to learn, thank you so much.